Let me go deep with you here. Were you a football player or a guy who was really good at playing football?
That's a great question. I have reflected on that.
Andrew Luck's NFL legacy is still tough to grasp, even a half-decade after his shocking, abrupt retirement. Despite being one of the greatest quarterback prospects of all time, the brevity of Luck's playing career, as well as his humility and fruitful life off the field, have eroded the public's memory of his generational talent. Was he really that special, or was Luck just hype? To fully understand just how good Andrew Luck really was, we need to go back to when it all started for the bearded pony. Andrew was born on September 12, 1989, to Kathy Wilson and Oliver Luck. His father Oliver was an NFL quarterback for the Houston Oilers in the 80s. He was a second-round pick out of West Virginia in the 1982 NFL Draft, but his career is mainly overshadowed by the fact that he played behind Archie Manning and Warren Moon. Though it's hard not to think Oliver's career played a helpful role in his son's future. Andrew Luck's talent began to stand out in his sophomore season under center at Stratford High School in Houston, Texas. He began to draw attention from the likes of Rice, Purdue, and Alabama in his junior year, after passing for nearly 3,000 yards and 27 touchdowns. He ultimately committed to the Stanford Cardinal in the summer of 2007, a move that makes a lot more sense when looking at his work in the classroom. Luck was the co-valedictorian of his class, graduating with a flawless 6.5 weighted GPA, a bona fide academic weapon. Luck redshirted his first season in Palo Alto, getting a head start on his architectural design degree. When the 2009 season rolled around, he won the starting job as a redshirt freshman, putting in a solid campaign for the Cardinal. Leaning heavily on star running back Toby Gerhart, Luck helped turn Stanford around from 5-7 the season prior to 7-5 in 2009. However, a solid first year as a starter would soon be overshadowed by a legendary run. Under the tutelage of quarterback specialist Jim Harbaugh in 2010, Andrew Luck led Stanford to a 12-win season, virtually unheard of in program history. Their only loss came to a formidable Oregon team, as Luck led the conference in completion percentage, as well as passing yards with 3,338 and touchdowns with 32. He finished second in Heisman voting to Cam Newton and showed out in an Orange Bowl win over Virginia Tech, Stanford's first BCS Bowl win in program history. Luck was the full package. He was smart, he had incredible arm talent and accuracy, and was more than just sneaky athletic. He then paired all of this with a mental and physical toughness that is difficult to even quantify. What turned out to be a game-saving hit following a fumble against USC embodied Luck's dedication to winning by any means necessary. Now draft eligible, Luck was projected as one of the top QB prospects of the 2011 class, with some mocks even predicting he would go first overall. Surprisingly, he announced he would return for his third season in order to finish out his degree, forever dedicated to his studies. With David Shaw taking over head coaching duties, his signal caller was predictably breathtaking in his swan song. 11 more wins and over 3,500 yards in the air for 37 scores had Luck repeat his Heisman runner-up, this time to Robert Griffin III out of Baylor. But that was completely irrelevant to NFL scouts, who graded Andrew Luck as one of the best, most pro-ready prospects of all time. Multiple franchises had to put up with fans begging them to tank and suck for Luck. Shoot, John Gruden was basically drooling over him on his visit to the QB camp. He was a no-brainer at first overall. There were no holes to poke in his resume, and the team fortunate enough to be sat atop the draft order were waiting with open arms. After 12 years with the Colts organization, Peyton Manning missed the entire 2011 NFL season due to back and neck surgery, sustained from years of beatings in Indianapolis. Without the Sheriff, Indy won just 2 games, meaning Andrew Luck, arguably the best college football player to never win the Heisman, fell into their lap. A month after releasing Peyton Manning, Indianapolis selected Andrew Luck first overall. The simple fact that the Colts organization thought he could fill those shoes speaks volumes of how much pressure was on his shoulders. Luck got right to work, proving this hopeful investment wasn't misplaced, overcoming a 3-interception debut against Chicago, to put up one of the most memorable rookie campaigns of all time, given the circumstances. He was a critical part of turning the Colts from a 2-win team to an 11-win team in less than a year, starting every game, willing his way to victory on multiple occasions with a league-leading 7 game-winning drives. 9 of those 11 wins were in one-score games, further evidence that the team around Luck still had a long way to go in order to match his breathtaking output. While a touchdown-to-interception ratio of 23-18 wasn't ideal, half of those picks came in 3 especially wild games. Luck grew substantially with an entirely new coaching staff under Chuck Pagano, who missed weeks 5 to 16 himself in a fight with cancer. Offensive coordinator Bruce Arians took over during that stretch and did enough to secure his team a postseason berth. Years later, Arians described Luck as his ideal quarterback, admitting, "He took maybe the worst roster I've ever seen and won 11 games with it, and 7 of them in the last 2 minutes." Indy made the playoffs as the AFC 5 seed, despite having the 11th worst point differential in the NFL that year. While Luck struggled against the eventual Super Bowl champion Ravens in the wildcard round, the mere fact that he got the Colts there in the first place was a testament to his ability to elevate those around him. He set the rookie record for passing yards with 4,374, but was thrown back to his college days by finishing second in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting to RG3. But the Colts had no doubts. Luck was a perfect match, their man of the future to build around. As part of a much-improved roster in 2013, Andrew Luck led the Colts to yet another 11-win season, with some statement victories along the way. In Week 4, he put up 228 yards and 2 touchdowns to defeat the Legion of Boom Seahawks before ruining Peyton Manning's homecoming. Luck outdueled the veteran with 3 scores through the air and 1 on the ground to edge the eventual NFC champions 39-33, once again justifying his place as the face of the franchise. Luck's partnership with T.Y. Hilton flourished due to limitations in the run game. Hilton broke the 1,000-yard mark for the first time and went nuclear in a shootout win over the Chiefs in the wildcard round. Although Luck surrendered 3 interceptions to the Kansas City defense that night, getting the Colts in a 28-point hole at the start of the third quarter, he also threw for 4 scores, half of which went to Hilton for over 200 yards in the air. They were outclassed the following week in Foxborough, but the second-year Luck undoubtedly had the Colts on the right track. 2014 saw 11 more wins and a league-best 40 passing touchdowns. Add to that a franchise record 5,034 total yards, and Andrew Luck seemed poised to take this Colts team to the promised land. The first step in matching his predecessor's achievements in the blue and white would be to face him in the playoffs. After handling the Bengals at home in the wildcard round, Luck and company traveled to Mile High, where Peyton Manning awaited them. While Luck had an up-and-down game, throwing 2 scores and 2 picks, his counterpart was shockingly inaccurate, consistently overthrowing his receivers, which kept the Broncos behind for most of the game. Luck led a clutch 8-minute field goal drive in the fourth quarter in order to make it a 2-score contest and seal Indy's place in the AFC Championship game. Another trip to Foxborough yielded even worse returns for Luck, who put out the weakest performance of his NFL career on the biggest stage. Barely completing a third of his passes for 126 yards and 2 picks was tragic, as a 7-45 loss served as a reality check for the entire organization. There remained a clear upward trend in team performance across his 3 years under center, but little did he know this would be the closest he ever came to reaching a Super Bowl. Andrew Luck's 2015 season was riddled with injuries, tearing his labrum and lacerating his kidney in an underwhelming season for Indy, but the front office believed in him, making him the best-paid player in the NFL that offseason. He justified the pay raise, looking back to his best in 2016, with over 4,500 total yards and 33 touchdowns, elite production, especially considering the woeful O-line in front of him, allowing him to be sacked 41 times. But a defense that allowed the 3rd most yardage in the NFL was impossible to keep pace with, as they missed the playoffs with an 8-8 record. Luck had shoulder surgery to fully repair the torn labrum from the year prior, but the recovery process took significantly longer than anticipated, keeping him out for the entirety of 2017. After dedicating himself to rehabbing his shoulder, he made his long-awaited return in 2018, but it didn't go to plan. An inconsistent 1-5 start was a bad look. However, luck came to life in the last 10 games of the season. The Colts finished out 9-1 with multiple fourth-quarter comebacks, in large part willed by their veteran QB. The Wolverine was evidently benefiting from better offensive line play, enjoying not just the lowest sack percentage of his career, but in the entire league. A dramatic win over the Giants in the penultimate game of the regular season was courtesy of Luck's 357 passing yards for 2 scores, the last of which put them up 28-27 with less than a minute remaining. After reaching the playoffs by the skin of their teeth, the Colts made light work of Houston before once again being trounced in the postseason. This time, it was the upstart Kansas City Chiefs who overpowered Luck and the Colts 31-13. At least Andrew Luck got to take home some silverware that year, deservedly winning Comeback Player of the Year. Now, at the peak of his powers, with the holes in the O-line plugged, the Colts seemed poised to become an AFC powerhouse. However, while on the sideline of the final preseason game in Indianapolis, Adam Schefter broke the story that Andrew Luck was going to retire after just 7 years in the NFL. Coming off of his 4th Pro Bowl season with nearly 4,600 passing yards and 39 passing touchdowns, one of the biggest names in the league, in his prime, had lost the battle with injuries and wanted to focus on his personal life. After all, he'd always had plenty of other talents off the field. News spread around the stadium, causing the fans to boo Luck as he ran down the tunnel one last time, an ugly scene that betrayed the classy player he was. To go back to the question at the start of this video, Andrew Luck was a football player through and through. Sure, he's got some idiosyncrasies off the field, but on it, Luck's passion for the game was undeniable. His heart and determination to make things work as part of some abhorrent rosters in Indianapolis is a testament to this. He was unquestionably the answer to the loss of Peyton Manning, but the organization's failure to build around him cost them a chance at returning to Super Bowl glory, and also cost the league a unique talent. Answering the question of how good he actually is may be impossible. The Colts' shortcomings cruelly held him back from realizing all of the potential he had shown in college. What we saw was elite, but what we could have seen was a potential all-time great. But what do you think? Is Andrew Luck underrated, or was he the real deal? Let us know in the comments.